Hello, Roll Mithril here once again, getting back to Mag Mammal 2, and it's time for the judge commentary on the last couple of stages we just played. Starting with 24th place, Smedis 2's Smed's Big Annoying Mess of a Level. Snow and Pyro. Hey, don't be so hard on yourself, this level is pretty good. The level is pretty simple when it comes to gameplay, but honestly it's to its benefit because it's just simple, well-designed enemy challenges. It sets up a group of enemies in the beginning and combines them and uses them in different environments throughout, and I think it plays really well. I'd say the only enemy that doesn't really get used is the Hammer Guy, but honestly, I don't mind that because I found the Hammer Guy pretty annoying to actually deal with. Level's also pretty funny too, with the Toad Joes and the weirdo fight with Komasu Man, and the actually pretty difficult Toad Man fight at the end. It's just a really solidly built and designed level in general. Also, fun thing, none of your projectiles get reflected with Jewel Satellite, they just kinda hang out in midair. This let me have some fun in the Toad Man fight. Okay, interesting. Droopy Hornet. This level wasn't big and it wasn't annoying, but it was a mess. There were a few nice enemy skins and I loved fighting the custom Komasu Man mini-boss, but the level got progressively worse, both graphically and design-wise. It went from a normal level to a level with messy tiles, what was up with the random Skullman tile set, to flat rooms with enemies, to an all-black room with Toadman, and, by the way, that Toadman fight is just brutal. Overall, judging by the name and design, I don't think this is a serious level. Angel. What a charming level. It's pretty simple but super fun to play, and throws in a horizontal Komasu to keep things interesting. Is he a frog too? There's a bit of a difficulty spike near the beginning where getting hit is very easy to send the player falling down, but aside from that the difficulty ramps up decently. The Toadman boss at the end is pretty intense, though I don't know why charge shots deal as much damage as the regular Buster. Feels kinda limiting, especially since all other weapons do nothing. Huh. Okay then. Gariri. It's not a horrible level, but it's not amazing either. Most of the level design isn't awful, but still has pretty poor enemy placement, generally consisting of being able to avoid them without effort, or being bombarded by too many of them. For me, what really hurts the level is the main boss, who is unfair and ultimately annoying to defeat. On the bright side, I gotta say I like the designs of the enemies, and the level looked good, and I still enjoyed the level despite what I mentioned previously. And Ace Spark. You got me. Nice trick with the rematches. The boss battles are far and away the highlight of this level, as they really work with your expectations and throw them for a loop. The first was the stronger of the two, but they were both pretty fun to fight, and the second one did murder me a couple of times before I got the timing down. The custom assets are also pretty dandy, with your new enemies being really clever. Even though one is a reskin, you play with it enough that it feels fairly fresh, and the other new enemy is hilarious. Where this stage falters is, it's basically just enemies and a boss or two, and nothing else. You really needed gimmicks here, and the lack of them hurt your level. One of the other problems I had was the clash of tile sets. I don't get it, at all. I suspect this may be a reference to something else, but I can't confirm this whilst reviewing, since I don't know your name yet, and even so, said reference will fly over most people's heads. Aesthetically, you probably should have just stuck to the initial tile set, which looked nice. So an interesting thing about the judge comments there. I'm kinda relieved to know I wasn't the only one that found that Toadman fight kinda difficult. I kinda thought everyone else would have thought it was easy, and I was just kinda making a fool of myself with my weird inability to somehow parse both horizontal and vertical shots at the same time. Anyway, this stage, it was a pretty nice rompy stage. I liked this one overall. And yeah, the Toad Joes just kinda made it for me. Those were hilarious. So 23rd place, Thoron's Conveyor Mayhem. Star and Pyro. This is a really cool level. I love how the enemies' gimmicks are like modifications of existing engine assets. Moving ladders on rails instead of moving platforms on rails, guts lifts that only activate when you touch them, a bunch of fire-themed versions of enemies, sideways crushers. It's all really cool and I love it. I love the open rooms. They feel like a lot of fun to get through, though they do sometimes have lag issues and the scrolling is a teensy bit janky. The level has a bunch of alternate paths and stuff, and I like it a lot because it allows to expand on each of its gimmicks, but not have any one playthrough of the level be terribly long. I wouldn't call any gimmick in this level underused. They're all introduced, used in more difficult situations, and combined for a very interesting experience. I really like how the sideways crushers and the moving ladders were combined. Honestly, I really like the moving ladders in general. They're used really well and the super fast ones are hilarious. The modifications of existing stuff theme also carries into the mini-bosses, with a fire megatelli and a really dumb-looking, in a good way, giant canopeller with a crusher and a small cannon on top. I kinda hope that's the canon name for that enemy. Both of them are pretty fun, though I think it's too easy for the megatelli to corner you, and I think the crusher shooting out for the other mini-boss could use more telegraphing. The Napalm Man fight is cool and a funny reference to Mag Mammal 1, though I'm not a huge fan of the other boss, mostly because he has his shield up in front and there's a small hitbox you can actually hit him in, and I don't think his attacks are as well telegraphed, so it takes some trial and error to actually get the boss down. But overall this level is super fun and I just really love how it plays. Jupy Hornet. This level was huge with 3 possible routes and took me about 40 minutes to fully beat. It was so much fun at first. I really liked the custom assets you used, especially the moving ladders. However, some of them seem to have no real use besides being an annoyance. Spike Cannon. The cannon mini-boss is completely skippable. Not sure if that's intentional or not. Huh. I wonder how you skipped that. The Crusher Joe battle was pretty hectic, and towards the end he started to move way too fast. The upgraded Napalm Man was pretty cool. Also, the Noble Nickels are insanely hard to get. You really went all out with the moving ladders. Angel. A very open level. It's so open, I even got lost a few times. I like how this level spreads out into different paths, each leading to a reward or a goal. The execution on this, however, I have to question. As a result of the abundancy of paths, there are some nickels that aren't really worth the effort. I'm a big fan of the flavor text on the bosses, especially the text that happens when the player dies. Oops. Okay, didn't know that existed. I encountered some glitches in this level too, unfortunately. A bit of lava led me into nothingness and a skippable mini-boss. Huh, okay. The more straightforward sections of the level I found really fun to play through, but the more open sections were often really stressful and finicky when trying to platform around between spikes and lava. Gariri. The biggest problem with this stage is the mediocre level design. Most of it is filled with enemies that are very hard to avoid and require precise timing or patience. Also, there are many cases where you have to make extremely precise jumps from platform to platform. Additionally, this level has many minor bugs and oversights. Putting that aside, I still mostly had fun with this level, and I really liked the ideas used in this stage. And Ace-Spark. Your most lacking quality was the aesthetics. This stage was ugly. There were several graphical glitches. This combination has led to you losing score in both aesthetics and are also docking your functionality score because it's clear these are custom asset programming issues. Some of this was fixed post-judging. And the resized graphics were, quite frankly, hideous, but to be fair, this is not an art compo. The other issue is the sheer number of routes does lead itself to not every path being equally given attention. Some were better than others, and Guts platform ladder combo leads itself to potential desync issues and makes certain areas more awkward than others. This stage feels like it's held together with Duck's Table. The stickiest of tables! And it's easily possible to glitch through your main gimmick. You missed a few pits too, causing me to reset. As a result of so many issues, you threw away your entire aesthetic and functionality score. Pit issue fixed post-judging. With the critique aside, the level itself was pretty darn awesome. You used the pre-existing graphical assets in creative ways, and graphics aside, the new gimmicks worked brilliantly. Fun times were had. I particularly like how simple but effective the moving ladder is. The bosses had a few niggles here and there. Crusher Joe needed more of a tell for his main attack. I liked his second attack though. The propeller boss was pretty awkward to fight, and glitched out on me so he was skippable. I'm not sure this was your fault though. I really liked Big Telly though. The main Robot Master was pretty good though. Just align your sprites properly in the future. As an aside, props for putting health bars on the mid-bosses. All in all, consider this a win. So, yeah, overall, this was a really good stage, and I did love the moving ladder gimmick. It was simple but effective, and I just really thought it was cool. However, the problem I had. I said I'd talk about this more at length here in the Talkie Bit video, so here we go. The thing is, you already have 2 exits to the stage, so you have to do the stage twice anyway. However, the fact that there are 2 paths that lead to the same boss, basically you've got a split path that tells you if you're going toward Napalm Man or Crusher Joe, and then Crusher Joe's path has a second split path that leads back to Napalm Man or to Crusher Joe, and you have to take both paths to get to Napalm Man to get all the nickels. That means you have to do the stage a minimum of 3 times to get everything, and that design choice I kinda question, admittedly. Overall, the stage was really cool. Some of the big rooms kinda had a problem with blind jumps, but overall, still, I really enjoyed this one. It's just the fact that I had to do it 3 times to get everything because of how the split paths work. That was a bit of a thing. But yeah, overall, really good level. I like this one. So with that, that's where we're going to call it for now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the series so far, and we shall see you again next time. Until then, I see you over there, Ringmen!